Hello everyone, welcome to this session. After any particular exam, we generally have a tendency to analyze the paper, kaisa hua, how was it, what was the trend and all. So here we are as a team together for the analysis of JEE Main second session which happened on 21st of January. What we are going to do here is, besides looking into the question, what type of questions were there and how we are supposed to do, we will also look into the trends, as in session 1 versus session 2, whether there was any semblance and it is likely to carry forward in the next sessions. Apart from that, for each subject, whether the level of difficulty was varied or the questions were lengthy, was it a usual paper what it used to come time and again for so many years, or maybe there is a new precedent set for this. Together with me I have Ajay sir and Saurav sir from physics and chemistry department, and myself Ashish Khare from mathematics department. We will have a look into this question one by one. So first let me ask this to my fellow colleagues, starting from Ajay sir. Ajay sir, what do you think the physics paper in terms of the session 1 and session 2, was it the a repetition kind of thing, or there was a large variation so that the percentile scores in the longer run may vary?
Sir, if we compare the first session and the second session, if we compare this, so I find that both the sessions are almost similar. The questions that were asked from the topics are almost similar. The variation of the questions, that's almost similar. The toughness level and everything, it's almost same. There's nothing much difference there. But yes, there are one or two questions which requires some larger calculation in paper 2.
Okay.
In
so
session 2.
It would simply mean that the paper is more like a templated papers, and the students going for the paper in the next few days would expect a similar kind of paper.
Right, sir. Right. Exactly.
And let's hear this again from chemistry. Saurav sir, what's your view on this?
I would say, sir, the paper is quite similar to last year paper, which has been asked in recent years. And this year also, comparing session shift 1 and shift 2, the paper is quite similar, quite on easier side. Any good student who has sincerely worked on his subject would have completed it quite easily. Again, I would like to emphasize that the NCERT, the importance of NCERT in this paper is quite prominent.
As it was always there in chemistry.
Exactly, sir.
Yeah. I have one more thought coming into mind, that many a times people see that a single choice questions are from particular chapters and integer type, because now it's no more choices out of 10 post that change. So student will have to attempt all the 5 integer type questions. So is it that in chemistry that the 5 questions of integer types are bound to be from particular set of chapters, or it can be from anything? What is the what we have observed here?
In the past year, sir, actually chemistry is divided into, as we all know, that it is divided into 3 parts: organic, inorganic and physical.
Right.
And the integer type question is bound to asked from physical chemistry chapter, of course. And the single choice questions, as I look into the paper, the memory based questions which I have, there are more number of questions from organic chemistry, and these are quite straightforward questions which has been taught in every classrooms and have been asked in many mock test paper we have conducted. So these are the straightforward questions which is quite easy to attempt. Yes, I would also say that in few questions there are some twist put in by JEE Mains, and that is always there. This is not new. This is always there.
Okay, fair enough. I just have the same question regarding this, whether the single choice versus integer type, is there any pattern in chapters, or it's open like?
So first thing, that integer type questions seems to be comparatively easy. What I have, the paper I have, the memory based paper I have, on the basis of that paper, I would say that integer type questions are, they are more likely to be correct. And one more thing, that in integer type questions, class 12th weightage is comparatively more.
Okay.
So if we compare out of 5 questions, 3 questions, I think that is from
And
class
both
12.
these observations were always there in every JEE Main in past years?
It's almost, sir, almost.
Yeah. So I would request Ajay sir, now that you have the paper, you have the idea. So if you can give the students a fair idea of question by question, what, not exactly that we are solving the entire paper here or solving the question, but if you orate a idea of question, a student will come to know which question you are talking about. What is the summary gist of that question, whether it was lengthy and how was the best approach, so that the students get all the insights from you.
Thank you, Ashish sir. On the basis of the memory-based questions that I have, the first question belongs to current electricity. This question belongs to a very peculiar topic of current electricity, that is maximum power transfer theorem. What this question says, this says, in a circuit there is a battery with internal resistance R and EMF E, which is connected to external load resistance capital R as shown. Find the value of capital R so that maximum power is dissipated across R. So my dear friends, we all know that there is a maximum power transfer to the external circuit when external circuit resistance and internal resistance of the source is same, and this we call maximum power transfer theorem. So the answer is very simple, capital R equals to small r, and I would suggest that this is a very important concept, so even in coming sessions also we can expect the questions based on the maximum power transfer theorem. The next question that asked in physics is of geometrical optics. This question says, refractive index of prism is √2. What should be angle of incidence for a light ray such that the emerging ray grazes out the surface? So I hope after listening this question you all must have understood that this belongs to total internal reflection, that if angle of incidence at any surface is critical angle and if it goes from denser medium to rarer medium, it grazes the surface, it grazes the refracting surface. That is also a very simple question, and as far as JEE Main is concerned, geometrical optics is always a very important topic. There is always a very easy question from geometrical optics in JEE Main. Question number 3. Keeping the significant figures in view, the sum of physical quantities 5.01, 153.2 meter and 0.123 meter is. This question is based on the addition of significant figures. We all know the rules that in addition what we see is the number of decimal places, and in the final result we keep the least number of decimal places. So that was a very easy question, and I expect that such questions like in this paper we have seen the rule of addition. In coming papers we could see the rule of multiplication or something of rounding off. Question number 4 says, a block of mass m is at rest with respect to hollow cylinder which is rotating with angular speed omega. Radius of cylinder is r. Find the minimum coefficient of friction between the block and the cylinder. This is a very simple question. We all do this in the class. Rotating cylinder, a block has to be at the wall of the cylinder, block has to be at the rest against the wall of the cylinder. So what should be the minimum value of omega, or what should be the minimum value of mu? Such question we do in the class, in which what we do, mg we equate it to the friction, and the value of friction must be less than or equals to limiting friction. That was a very simple question, and we can expect such questions again in the further sessions. Question number 5, that belongs to current electricity again. So my dear friends, I want to say that current electricity is one of the very important topic as far as JEE Main is concerned. Even in this JEE Main they have asked 3 questions from the current electricity. So you all must revise the current electricity very carefully. You all must do all the PYQs of current electricity very carefully. In this question they have given a meter bridge, and in meter bridge they have given 2 resistances, 6 ohm and 4 ohm. The only difference is that in this meter bridge the length of the wire was 50 centimeter. It wasn't 1 meter, the length of the wire was 50 centimeters. So we were just supposed to do one thing, R1 upon R2 equals to L1 upon L2. So meter bridge is again a very important topic. Next, they have asked the question from KTG in thermodynamics, and the question was based on RMS speed. The question was based on RMS speed. We all know that RMS speed is under root 3 RT upon capital M. So the question was the RMS speed of oxygen molecules at 47 degrees centigrade is equal to that of hydrogen molecules kept at. So they wanted the RMS speed of oxygen molecule and hydrogen molecule to be same, and they have given the temperature of oxygen molecules. They want to ask the temperature of hydrogen molecules. So we can expect again these kind of questions. This time they have asked about the RMS speed. Maybe in the coming examination you may get the question of average speed or most probable speed. Then the next question that says two spheres having equal mass, charge q and radius r moving towards each other. Both have speed u at an instant when distance between their center is 4r. Minimum value of u so that they touch each other. In this question, what is happening? Two charged spheres, they are moving towards each other, so there is an electrostatic repulsion between them. When they will come close to each other, what will happen? Because of the electrostatic repulsion, their speed will decrease, and finally they are supposed to touch each other. So what we will do in this question? In this question, we will just conserve the mechanical energy. Initial kinetic energy plus initial potential energy equals to final kinetic energy plus final potential energy. Fine. The next question they have asked, that is from the viscosity, terminal velocity. The question was terminal velocity of a spherical ball of radius 6 mm in a liquid is given by 200 meter per second. Find the terminal velocity of a ball of 3 mm radius in the same liquid. So everything is same, just the radius is changed, the density of ball, the density of liquid, coefficient of viscosity, everything is supposed to be same. The only thing that changes is the radius. And we all know that terminal velocity is proportional to r raised to the power 2, the radius square. So here what they have done, they have reduced the radius, they have made radius half, so terminal velocity becomes 1 by 4. A very easy question. Majority of times, every time even I have found that whenever they have asked the question of viscosity, majority of time the question of viscosity belongs to terminal velocity. So a very easy question. The next question they have asked, this contains two diodes, resistor and a battery, and the question was, and there is a capacitor also. The question was the charge stored by the capacitor C in the given circuit in steady state. So in steady state we were supposed to find out, the charge on the capacitor. So basically, although this belongs to this has a diode, so we will consider this question of semiconductor, but actually the major concept that comes in this question is of current electricity. So current electricity is a very important thing. In this question, what is happening? There are two diodes, and out of two diode, one diode is in forward bias and the another diode is in reverse bias. So what we will do, we'll find out the potential difference across the capacitor, and after finding out the potential difference across the capacitor, we'll find out the charge stored inside the capacitor. Fine. Now let's move on to the next question. Next question, that is from work power energy. In this question, what they say, if mass of particle is 2 kg and displacement of particle varies with time as x equals to alpha t cube plus beta t square plus gamma t, then find the work done by the force in the time interval t equals to 2 to t equals to 3 seconds. So what we have been given, position as function of time, and we are supposed to find out the work done from t equals to 2 to t equals to 3 seconds. There are various ways to find out. One, we can go for variable force integration f dx, but that will be a lengthy approach. So what we will do, we'll find out the velocity of the particle at t equals to 2 seconds and t equals to 3 seconds, and we will go for the work energy theorem. Work energy theorem application. Remember, my dear friends, work energy theorem application is very important as far as JEE Main is concerned. So you all should be very well aware of work energy theorem. Next question. An electron in a hydrogen-like atom has energy equal to 0.004 E naught, where E naught is the magnitude of energy of this electron in ground state in electron volt. If angular momentum of this electron is L, then the value of 2 pi L upon h is, where h is a Planck constant. So energy is given in the nth state, and in nth state we have angular momentum. We are supposed to find out the value of 2 pi L upon h. This belongs to atom. Atom is one of a very favorite topic as far as JEE Main is concerned. There's always a question of atom in JEE Main. A very easy question. Modern physics. Modern physics complete. You all should revise the complete modern physics again and again. It is a very important topic as far as JEE Main is concerned. The next question says the mass, charge and potential applied across particles are across a particle are 6 into 10 raised power minus 27 kg, 3 into 10 raised power minus 19 coulomb, and 1.21 volt. Find the de Broglie wavelength of the charged particle. So de Broglie wavelength we all know, lambda equals to h by p, and p is under root 2 m of kinetic energy, and kinetic energy is qv. So this was again the question from modern physics, a very easy question. Slight calculation, so you have to be very careful while calculating the values. Next question. During SHM, kinetic energy of particle in SHM varies with frequency 176 Hz. Find out the frequency of SHM of particle. So what they have done? They have given the frequency of kinetic energy in SHM, and they want to ask the frequency of SHM. What is the frequency of SHM? Fine. We all know that if frequency of SHM is n, the frequency of kinetic energy is 2n. So it was a very simple thing. It is a very straightforward question. And then the last question that I have with me is the find the magnetic field at point O in the given figure. So in the given figure, what we have, there is a combination of a straight wire and there is a combination of a circle. So we have to use the combination of a straight wire and the circle, and we can find out the magnetic field due to the given distribution. So this is the overall paper that I have, that memory based paper that I have right now. On the basis of this memory based paper, I would say that PYQs are very important. You all attempt the PYQ to get good score in JEE Main. Next thing, there's no surprise element. It's almost current electricity is always a very favorite topic. Kinetic theory of gases and thermodynamics, that's a very favorite topic of JEE Main. So they are doing nothing new. They are just giving the same pattern questions again and again. Just practice them, keep your calm, and I'm sure that you all will do great. Chaliye, thank you very much. Now I hand over the mic to Ashish sir for the further discussion.
Thank you, Ajay sir. In fact, while you were explaining those questions, I had a thought coming into my mind. Without the visuals of questions, without anything there, when you orate questions and students listen to it and they try to visualize what was the question and what could have been the probable options of solving the questions, it seems as if this is a great insight of developing memory maps and all. A fantastic analysis, Ajay sir. Thank you very much. Now we move to Saurav sir for the similar and complete wisdom based analysis on the chemistry part of the second session. Over to you, Saurav sir.
Thank you, sir. Now coming to section of chemistry in shift 2 examination of JEE Mains of 21st of January. Now looking at this paper, the first thing came into my mind is that this question paper is quite similar to the shift 1, and approximately equal distribution has been done in physical, organic and inorganic sections. Right now what paper I have, this is memory based paper, let me remind. So now let us analyze each questions one by one. The first question I have is the nucleophilic nature of a substitution reaction. There are 4 options given, and all the nucleophiles were oxygen based nucleophile, and this is a typical question when we study SN1 and SN2 mechanism. We study this part there and this is portion of organic chemistry, class 12. We know that, from the chapter alkyl halide, right? And this is quite straightforward question. NCERT also discusses this, and in each and every classroom we have already covered this topic. This is quite straightforward question, the nucleophilic strength of the nucleophiles. So this is the stronger the base, stronger the nucleophile. We have covered this thing. You can do it very easily. Now the second question I have is again from organic chemistry, and which has been asked about the reagents like Stephenson reduction, Rosenberg reduction, Gattermann-Koch reaction, Etard reaction. These are the reagents, and which has to be memorized what this reagent is actually, and it has given in the form of column matching, column 1 and column 2. We have to match it, and this is more or less a memory based question of organic chemistry, and that too is very easy. I mean, it is not very tricky, or we have to think multiple concept on this. This is quite easy question. So Stephenson reduction, Rosenberg reduction, the reagents are given and the name is given, right? Again, coming to next question, it is how many of these species the magnetic moment is less than 3 Bohr magneton. This question belongs actually to two topics. I could say that it is first introduced in atomic structure, where we learn to calculate the magnetic moment, and the species given is nickel, iron, cobalt, vanadium, titanium, and their ions actually. So we have to write the electronic configuration, and we have to find the number of unpaired electron and apply the formula of magnetic moment, and we can easily solve this question. This is also, if I have to tag this question, and I would say this is quite easy question, and each and every student must have done it. And this belongs to, we can say that physical chemistry, because it is from atomic structure chapter. Now the next question is again from organic chemistry, and again from the nucleophilic substitution reaction, the reactivity of nucleophilic substitution reaction. I have this question like benzylic bromide is given, and at ortho, meta and para position different groups are added, like Na2, ammonia, NH2, OH group. These groups are added there, and they have asked the order of SN1 reaction, and we know that in SN1 reaction we make first carbocation, because first carbocation is made, and that is the RDS of this step. And then based on the stability of these carbocation, we can say that what is the reactivity order. The stable the carbocation, the reactive is the compound towards nucleophilic substitution, SN1 reaction, right? Then 4 options are given, and if you see that quite diligently, that make carbocation, compare the stability of these carbocations, and then you can reach to a simple answer to that, right? So I have discussed so far 3-4 questions, and I don't find any difficulty level. I mean, all these questions I would say that quite on the easier side, and not only on the easier side, it is easiest kind of question, which is like when we used to teach in classrooms, when we write SN1 reaction, the first and the foremost thing we talk about these things only. Anyways, let us move to the next question. Following 4 molecules are given. Among them, one is optically active. Find the percent of carbon in that compound. Now this question is quite interesting. They have tried to put some twist in this question. First, I would say that this question is based on 2 particular concepts. First thing, the student must know what is optical activity and how to find a compound is optically active. So first thing, a student has to draw the structures of all the 4 molecules, and then identify which one is optically active, and again after identifying the optically active molecule, they have to find the percent of carbon in that. I mean, I suppose this question should be of numerical type. So after identifying the optically active molecule, one can very easily find the percent of carbon in that particular compound. Like the options are given N-propyl chloride. So propyl has 3 carbon, N-propyl chloride, you can calculate the molecular mass and percent of carbon from that. Okay, now this question, by looking at the previous 3-4 questions, I would say that this question falls into the moderate kind of category. Now let us move to next question, which is from inorganic chemistry. The first question I have from inorganic chemistry, and which is based on the salt analysis chapter which we have in our lab manual. So this is preparation of chromyl chloride. K2Cr2O7 is heated with KCl in presence of H2SO4. Find the compound formed and along with the oxidation state. So this is a memory based question, of course, because it belongs to inorganic and salt analysis, and this is one of the prominent tests of chloride ion. Each and every student is knowing that this particular test of chloride ion is quite important, and we emphasize always in class that this is one of the most important, and it has a potential to be asked in any engineering or medical examinations. So this is one of them, and the answer to this is chromyl chloride and oxidation state is +6, right? Now again, there is a question, I'm talking about a question asked in organic chemistry. Benzene have a NO2 group on it, and it is being treated with FeBr2, FeBr3 and Br2, right? And there is a sequence of reaction, that it is a route map type question. It is first bromination is done on this this nitrobenzene, then the reduction of nitrobenzene by SnHCl, then again bromine water is added into this. So it is a sequence of reaction, and this is quite, we cannot say that this is easy question, because for students who have not studied so well or based only on its NCERT may find it quite hard sometimes, because if they do not understand or do not know any of the reagents in that, it is quite difficult for them. But overall, for a student who has studied well up to advanced level, it's quite easy question from that standard. So again, move on to next question. Now, what is the significant figure of the summation of 153, 153.2 and 15? I think the printing mistake is there. There are 3 numbers actually, and these numbers has to be added, and then we have to find the significant figure. It is quite easy question, and it is given there in chemistry NCERT as well as in physics. Student read it, study it in both the subjects, and they can calculate. I remember that a few years back, JEE Advanced also asked the same questions, the same kind of question. They have given the value of Boltzmann constant and asked the number of significant figure in that particular the value. So it is actually, I think, inspired from that. And in the past few years also, JEE Mains have regularly been asking these kind of questions. So this is easily can be manageable from the student. Now again, next question is from, next question is quite interesting. We have 8.74 gram of MnO2 which is treated with HCl. Then what will be the weight of chlorine gas obtained? They have given the molar mass of MnO2. Now, this question is moderate. First thing, first the student has to write the equation. They have to balance they have to make the equation what MnA2 and HCl forms apart from Cl2 and water and whatever is given. So first a student has to write the equation, balance it, and then have to apply either the concept of equivalents or the concept of mole concept stoichiometry, and they have to find the moles of chlorine gas obtained. So this question is moderates on the moderator side, and can solved only by some good students, because making a chemical reaction is something which is important in this question. So we have to apply the concept of redox reaction balancing, right? Again, now moving on to next question. This is from ionic equilibrium. The concentration of X2 minus at equilibrium in 0.1 molar H2X, given that Ka1 of H2X and Ka2 of H2X. So this is a polyprotic acid H2X. To solve this question, we have to write both the equilibria of H2X, the first dissociation and the second dissociation. Now we have to dissociate the number of moles. This is an example of simultaneous equilibria, and then we can easily reach to the conclusion that what is the concentration of X2 minus, right? So this question is again falls into moderate side. We cannot say this is a highly difficult question, because previously JEE Mains have asked even more difficult question than this one in JEE Mains previous years as well. So this is comparing to last year's or last to last year's paper. This question from ionic equilibrium is on the easier side, but looking at to this paper, this question falls into the moderate side of paper question. Now again, let us come to question number next question. Osmotic pressure of a solution is 12 atmosphere. What is the concentration of NaCl solution which is isotonic to the given solution at 300 Kelvin? This question is from the chapter liquid solution from class 12th physical chemistry, and here we have to apply two concepts. What is first thing is osmotic pressure, the formula of osmotic pressure, how to calculate it, and of course because NaCl is given, so it will dissociate, so we have to introduce Van 't Hoff factor as well. So this question comprises of two particular questions and quite easier to solve, which is very famous and which is very monotonous kind of thing. The liquid solution contains Van 't Hoff factor and osmotic pressure formula. We can solve it very easily. Now again, coming to next question. Now this question is quite difficult actually. Find out the correct graph for negative value of temperature coefficient. Now a student must know what is a temperature coefficient, because a student who is only based on NCERT, only based on the school curriculum, may not be knowing that what is temperature coefficient. So first a student has to know what is temperature coefficient, and then he has to interpret what is the graph between the EMF of the cell with temperature. So again, the important thing or the difficult thing in this question is knowing what is temperature coefficient. It is dE cell by dt. So knowing that, we know that if a cell has negative temperature coefficient, that means on increasing the temperature, the E cell should decrease. So knowing that information, a graph can easily be drawn based on the Nernst equation actually. E cell is E naught cell minus RT by NF ln Q log Q, right? So it is also again combination of two concept questions. So going by the standard of this particular paper, shift 2, I would tag it in difficult portion of the paper. This is from electrochemistry, and which is a chapter of class 12th physical chemistry. So I have been so far I have seen that there are many questions asked from class 12th. So my verdict on this so far is that class 12th is pretty getting important in JEE Mains these years. Now again we have a question from chemical kinetics which falls in class 12th physical chemistry, and in this question they have given that there is an equation A gives B plus C. If initial pressure of A is 1 bar and at time 100 second the total pressure is 1.5 bar. Again this is again the application of first order kinetics, and they have asked rate constant in this. Now you can remember that we have how we solve this. We assume that let the pressure at T is equal to 0 is this much, and at the time progresses the pressure of A decreases by X units and the pressure of B and C increases by X units, and then we write the expression for calculating the K, which is 2.303 by T log of the initial pressure of A by partial pressure of A at particular time T. But now in this question directly the partial pressure of A is not given, it is given the total pressure is 1.5 bar. So you have to apply some arithmetic that let us the pressure of A is P naught minus X, then pressure of B is X and pressure of C is X. Let us add all these pressures and make it equal to 1.5 bar, given that the initial pressure of A was 1 bar. So by this simple arithmetic calculation you can very easily calculate X, and then after calculating X you can find the partial pressure of A. So this question is easily solvable and a straightforward question from chemical kinetics, but not from directly from the formula. It is actually the application of first law of kinetics. So this is also a moderate kind of question. A simple student who has not prepared to that level could not have done it, but a good student who has studied well sincerely in the classroom, done all his or her assignments, and revised it well, quite easily could have done it again. Now coming to next question. 1 gram of an organic compound produces 1.49 gram of magnesium pyrophosphate. Here in this question I have this is determine the percent of P in organic compound up to nearest integer. Again, possibly this question is asked in the integer type section or numerical type section, but as far as I have discussed with few students that the formula of magnesium pyrophosphate was not given in the paper. So most of the student who has not the idea to how to write the formula of a compound like magnesium pyrophosphate or thiosulfate or this kind of could not have done it. So I have always emphasized that it is very important first to know the concept of how to write the molecular formula of the compound. Even JEE Advanced had asked, I think in 2020 or 21, that what is the number of lone pair in sodium hypochlorite. Number of lone pairs in sodium hypochlorite. So most of the students have done it wrong because they could not write the formula of the compound. And the same thing I am seeing here, that magnesium pyrophosphate is forming from 1 gram of organic compound. Determine the percent of phosphorus in the organic compound, and the mass of magnesium pyrophosphate is given 1.49 gram. So after knowing the formula, this question is very easy. It is based on mole concept, I would say, or I can say also that this is based on purification of organic compound, because their percent of phosphorus is calculated by this method. So either way we can solve very easily that from mole concept, that the number of moles or the mass of phosphorus present here must be coming from the organic compound, so we can very easily calculate the percent of phosphorus in the organic compound, right? But rather this is a good question based on the memory as well as the concept. Again, coming to the next question, belongs to atomic structure chapter, and a straightforward question from hydrogen spectrum. The third line of Paschen series and second line of Balmer series, we have to find the ratio of wavelengths. We have the formula of wavelength, 1 upon lambda is r into z square, 1 upon n1 square minus 1 upon n2 square. For Paschen series, I would third line of Paschen series. So we note that Lyman, Baumann, Pascher. So coming 6th to 3rd, the third line of partial series would be transition from 6th to 3rd, and second line of Balmer series would be the transition from 4 to 2nd. And you can apply the formula, put the values in the formula, let the ratios come, and this ratio you have to match with the option. It's a straightforward, very good question, which has been multiple times we have reiterated in class that this type of question is very prominent to be asked in JEE Mains as well as in JEE Advanced in some other twisted format actually. Now again, let us come to the next question. It is statement type question. Statement 1 said the correct order for radius is aluminium, magnesium, then magnesium 2 plus, then aluminium plus 3. So this portion, you can say that either it belong to the P block portion, what is there in our syllabus, or you can also say that this belongs to the periodic property, because we discussed these things in periodic properties as well. So this statement belongs to inorganic chemistry, either P block, or we can say that from periodic properties. Now again, statement 2, atomic size always depends upon electronegativity. In the light of the above statement, choose the correct options. Now this statement says that atomic size always depends upon electronegativity. Yes, this is a true statement, but always here is making a difference. We cannot say that always depends upon electronegativity. Suppose we come down to the group, second group to third group to fourth group, their electronegativity decreases but size also increases. So this statement overall becomes wrong. So both these statements belong to inorganic periodic properties chapter, and this is moderate type of question because you have to analyze and give verdict on two particular statements. So this is a good question but falls on the easier side. So these are the questions we were having based on the memory of students or students who have given the examinations. So final verdict, I would say, to this paper is very similar to the shift 1 and almost comparative difficulty level as compared to previous year, last 2-3 years JEE Mains examination. So my advice to students in these particular coming sessions, read NCERT at least once or twice before your examination, because there are few questions directly being asked from NCERT, which I always reiterate while teaching in classroom, and you can easily revise your notes only and NCERT to get approximately 100 to 80 marks in this kind of paper which is being asked in 2026. So this is my final suggestion, and all the best to all of you. Thank you.
So this was chemistry, again reiterating the fact that 12th has a little higher weightage. The paper was usual, not anything changed in the previous session or previous years with the same set of weightages and all. Now let's quickly look at mathematics portion. When I look at the maths paper, the first question that is here with me on the memory based card is a function based question where it's a cubic function x cube plus x square times first derivative of 1 plus 2x times f dash of 2 plus f triple dash of 3. So they have asked f dash of 5 as per the memory based this thing. The question goes pretty simple, is you need to just consider the question the cubic polynomial because everything else is constant, so that makes it x cube plus ax square plus bx plus c. If I go by you have to decide whether what approach. So instead of going for some smart work, just assume x cube plus ax square plus bx plus c, differentiate it successively, put the values, get a, b and c, you get the function and you get the f dash of the, in fact you don't need c because you need f dash of 5. Easy question, usual question, nothing big. Second question that I have brings in some element of consideration that whether they have gone out of syllabus. It's a question on ellipse. If a line alpha x plus 2y minus 4 is equal to 0 is tangent to ellipse 3x square plus 4y square is equal to 1, then alpha is equal to. There have been variants of this question on internet showing different versions, but the point is asking for a tangent to a ellipse doesn't really make it possible that it's out of syllabus, or since they have mentioned a tangent won't be there, because you can ask a question on tangent in terms of quadratic equation. When you satisfy y is equal to mx plus c in the equation, you get the condition for tangency. But why to do so in the exam? It's always a good to have a strategy to know all those things which are not in the syllabus if you have time and ability. So the moment you compare a general tangent with this tangent, you get alpha immediately. So nothing big as a question, no panic because tangent is there. It's nothing a property of tangent or a set of properties of tangents. It's a simple line being tangent to the ellipse, a condition based question. So you go by the condition, you go by quadratic, or you compare them, it's all the more same. The third question I have is a question which says the largest natural number n for which 7 raised to n divides 101 factorial. So falls in the chapter combinatorics or number system, whichever view you like. 101 factorial would have a definitive power of 7, which you can get by the formula 101 upon 7 plus 101 upon 7 whole square, all the integral parts of this and so on. So since 7 square is the last term when you will get some value, because 7 cube onwards it would all become 0. So it's an oral calculation kind of thing. 101 upon 7 the greatest integer plus 101 upon 49 the greatest integer, and you get the result. As simple as that. It was a numerical integer type question as it comes in the memory based paper. So it's something usual. The next one is even another usual one, again from calculus, area bounded by two curves. Instead of curves, as usual, they have given two inequalities. One is a line, 1 minus 2x is less than equal to y, another is y is less than equal to 4 minus x square. Only two cautions and it's all done. Y is less than equal to 4 minus x square is a part of parabola. You draw the parabola. When you draw the line y is equal to this, so remember the coefficient of y positive, because you compare it with a particular, either you keep origin at one point and then do it, or you make the y coefficient positive and then decide whether the positive or the negative part is above the line or below the line. So step 1, draw the diagram, define the area. Step 2, find the points of intersection, and third, apply the integral. Nothing beyond that. No smart work, no messy calculations. It's a simple question. The next one is a good question, that's from vectors. 3 vectors are shown in a particular diagram in a triangle P, Q and R. Angle between vector P and Q is theta, where cos theta is 1 by root 3. The modulus of P and the magnitude of Q is given. You have been asked a value of P cross Q minus 3R magnitude whole square minus 3 times magnitude of R square. Now one may get stuck, where is R in the equation? R is not in the equation, R is in the diagram, and you have to make out a equation in P, Q and R basis the diagram, which is a triangle law of addition. So once you get R in terms of P and Q, you place in your required modulus value and then use dot product, cross product, and it's done. So it's not that big as a question. Like if we think of questions on vectors, there are much better questions asked in the previous years, but this is a usual stereotype easy question to do. Another one is a parabola. One end of a focal chord of a parabola y square is equal to 16x be 16 comma 16. If P alpha beta divides this focal chord internally in a particular ratio, where students had their different opinions, somebody said it's 2:1, 5:2, then the minimum value of alpha plus beta. Now getting a focal chord with extremities 16 comma 16 is as simple. You get the parametric point at square comma 280, you get t, you get the equation of the focal chord, you get the other parameter, other extremity of the focal chord, a by t square minus 2a by t. Now if I see that there is a point which divides this chord internally in the particular ratio, that point is easily obtained, and then alpha plus beta is a no-brainer. So not that critical, not that big as a question. It's just that memory based, so we have various versions of this particular question. Another one is again parabola, which is with me. O is the vertex of parabola, y square is equal to 16x. So the first thing that you need to acknowledge is that O origin is the vertex of the parabola. Centroid of triangle OPA, where P lies on the parabola and A on x axis, and angle OPA is 90 degrees. So what they intend to do is they draw a line from O which meets the parabola at P, then draw a line perpendicular to AP. Definitely that line would cut the x-axis at some point A. You need the centroid in a right angle triangle. The centroid is basically, if I take the midpoint of OA and break it 2:1, so it's not that impossible. All you need to do is take P again as 80 square comma 280. You get the coordinate of A by slope. You may apply geometry, I don't deny that. I am a very fond advocate of using geometry, but the point is which works better and faster for you. So before you can think anything else, you will get the coordinates of A simply because of the slope, because you take A as something A comma 0 product, so in terms of T. So you get the centroid in terms of T, and then you eliminate, you get the locus. The next one in front of me is one of the very good questions of this paper. It's from the combinatorial arrangement. 1 upon 15C0 plus 1 upon 15C1 in brackets multiplied by 1 upon 15C1 plus 1 upon 15C2 and so on, 1 upon 15C12 plus 1 upon 15C13 is equal to some alpha raised to some 13 upon 14C0, 14C1, the entire product. They want the value of alpha, not directly in terms of 30 alphas to make it integer, or maybe whatever value they want. The only catch here is NCR plus NCR minus 1 is N plus 1 CR. So if you take the LCMs across these brackets, all these numerators now convert into single terms, and then when you compare them with this alpha, it's easy to reach to alpha. What could be the value of alpha? NCR plus NCR minus 1 is equal to N plus 1 CR is a combinatorial argument formula. We use this as a concept of dummy variable in combinatorics. The another question that I have right in front of me, my dear students, is a question of three-dimensional geometry. But again, a straightforward one. Let a line passing through a point minus 3, 5, 2 and make equal angles with the positive coordinate axis. The moment they say they make equal angle with the positive coordinate axis, direction, cosines, LMN are same. So 1 by root 3, 1 by root 3. So you have the entire line in terms of that. If the distance of this line from a particular point 2, R, 1 is this, so distance of a line is the perpendicular distance. I hope you get the line in symmetric form straightforward. Then the perpendicular distance, which is a direct formula, or you may call a point lambda on the symmetric form, and then do the slopes as in A1, A2, B1, B2, C1, C2 ka sum 0. You get that point, you get that distance, the result is done. Take some time of your in getting the exact calculation. That's the part of these papers nowadays in JEE Main, that come what may, however smart method you have found to do a problem, it will still take some of your time in doing the calculations. Another question, this time it's from complex number. Easy one. Z be a complex number satisfying mod of z minus 5 is less than equal to 3. The moment you realize that this is a circle and its interior with center 5, 0 and radius 3, having maximum positive argument. So argument is the angle made from 0. So that means when you draw a tangent from 0, just try to visualize the way we are conversating here. A tangent from 0 on the first quadrant, that particular point of contact is having the maximum argument. So you have the length of tangent, you have the angle, you have the radius. So by default you have the complex number z. The complex number z has to be placed in some expression 34 times 5z minus 12 upon 5 iota z plus 16 modulus whole square. You are done. since you have the complex number. You don't need to do experiment on anything else in terms of geometry or complex number. You have the complex number directly, r cos theta plus I sin theta. Another one is a sequence and series question, a bit twisted, a little bit of tweaked here. A1 comma A2 by 2 comma A3 by 2 square dot 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 A10 upon 2 to the power 9 be a GP with a common ratio root 1 by root 2. So all you need to do understand here is AK upon 2 to the power k minus 1 and AK plus 1 upon 2 to the power k have the same ratio. What is that ratio? 1 by root 2. So when you divide these, you realize that AK plus 1 upon AK also has a fixed ratio. So the AIs plugged in here are also in GP. Now rest all is as simple because sum of first terms of that GP is 62. So A1 is to be asked. It's easy. You know the common ratio, you are supposed to get the first term. So not that challenging. It's just that instead of this, if you had gone into some other ideas of solving this problem, this could have been difficult. Probability distribution function, the next question, could have been really good, but since it's a straightforward usual paper, that's how it appears to be in all three subjects so far. They have given the variable x as 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 values and the probability related to this x in terms of A and B. So first thing is that the sum of probabilities is 1, so you get one result in A and B. Before even reading the question, you know that this has to be done. If it is given that the sigma square plus mu square standard deviation and the mean is equal to 2. So mean you get in terms of AB because now you have the last one capital B also in terms of A. So you get one result, that's basically small b, that's a misprint. So you get one result in terms of AB and standard deviation ka square, which is variation. So that you know the formula, it's simple, you subtract. Even before you do something better in this, which kind of distribution, it's not some distribution which you are known, it's a random distribution that they have defined. So you get sigma, you get mu in terms of A and B, you already have an equation in A and B, you solve them, you get A and B. They are asking you the value of A by B. Maybe it is possible without solving for A and B you get A by B, but hardly matters. Two variable, two equation, both of them not going beyond quadratic is not impossible. You get a easy direct question for full marks. Next one is calculus and inverse trigonometry mix. Sin inverse x whole square plus cos inverse x whole square, find the maximum value if x belongs to minus root 3 by 2 to 1 by root 2 and the maximum value is in terms of some AB where you have to compare and get the value of A plus B. So it becomes an integer type question. Now unnecessarily don't invoke calculus here. A square plus B square, I am talking about sin inverse x whole square plus cos inverse whole square, can be written as A plus B whole square minus 2AB. So sin inverse x plus cos inverse x ka whole square is pi square by 4 minus 2 times sin inverse x cos inverse x. You may eliminate one of them by the identity. So I take 2 sin inverse x into pi by 2 minus sin inverse x, which is cos inverse x. Now sin inverse x if I call as t, I know the range of t because sin inverse x is a strictly increasing function and x lies between minus root 3 by 2 to 1 by root 2. So I have an expression which is quadratic in t. With the range of t, I can get the maximum value without calculus. Had you used cos inverse x as t, only caution is that cos inverse x is a decreasing graph, so the range of t will change because of the interval minus root 3 by 2 to 1 by root 2. Or else you may have used any other inequality or calculus, but believe you me, this was the fastest way to get this particular question because the maximum value obtained is in terms of pi. A and B are obtained by comparing the values and the result. The next one probably is one of the best questions in this paper. This defines a fx as a infinite limit n tending to infinity 1 upon n cube times sigma k is equal to 1 greatest integer of k square upon 3 to the power x as given in the memory based question by the students. They are not asking for values of fx. They are asking f of 1 to infinity 12 times. So that means the moment you say summation has been asked from 1 to infinity, f of 1 to f of infinity, that means fx is going to come in a particular format where infinite sums are possible. All you need to realize, the greatest integer on k square upon 3 to the power x, I am assuming it's 3 to the power x, has to be bound by a inequality of greatest integer of x. So this particular summation will fall between those two summations of inequality, and very much hopeful the moment you apply limit n tending to infinity with the 1 by n cube, this turns out to be a question of sandwich theorem where fx comes out to be a result, a direct result, and that fx is bound to be either GP with common ratio less than 1 or a GP with common ratio less than 1. Otherwise, a infinite sum would not have been a case. So this is how we approach. The moment we look into a problem, we first take a call, okay, it's an infinite sum, so it has to come like this. It is greatest integer, so I am not able to get this infinite sum, so it is bound to lie between two values, and hopefully these two values will determine the sum by sandwich theorem. The next one is a trigonometric equation. I am not very sure whether we have got the exact question from students, but this says the number of solutions of the equation tan 3x is equal to cot x in 0 to 2 pi, 0 closed, 2 pi open. Hardly matters because 0 and 2 pi are not in the domain tan 3x and all. So how do we approach in this particular way? Even if one of the endpoints is in the domain, they have asked for number of solutions. When they talk about number of solutions, it is as simple as we make a decision whether we will solve. We will write tan 3x as 3 tan x minus tan cube x upon 1 minus 3 tan square x, and then take cot x on the other side, so it becomes a fourth degree equation, and tan, then we write tan square x as z and do all the efforts. Or else we simply play with the graphs, because they are not asking for solution, they are asking for the number of solution. So 0 to 2 pi, both tan and cot has a period to initial period pi, so I will draw the graph of cot x in 0 to pi and then tan 3x, look into the number of solutions, double it and give the answer. That could have been the best way, but it seems, looking into the options and all, that this memory based question doesn't have the correct option right here. But you know the question since you have given the paper, and those who are likely to give, take a call. Any equation where the number of solution is asked, before jumping to solving it, look at the graphical approach. That's what we have been training you all through the time. The next one is a differential equation. Secant x into dy by dx minus 2y is equal to 2 plus 3 sin x. A typical usual differential equation. No big brainer. Like, you may invest time in getting it an exact differential equation, but before you do anything else, you know this has been already solved. It's a easy no brainer question where they have given a particular value of function at 0 and they want the value at pi by 6. So a straightforward differential equation, if it is exactly the question that has been brought up in the memory based context. There are questions which are straightforward, easy, direct, nothing big as a challenge. One or two more questions to discuss and give you the insight. Alpha beta are the roots of a quadratic equation x square plus 2ax plus 3a plus 10 is equal to 0, such that alpha is less than 1, which is less than beta. So which means 1 lies between alpha and beta. Before you jump into the conditions of quadratic equation, k lie, it is 1 lying between the root of an upward parabola. In an upward parabola, we don't need anything else than that f of 1 is 0. So if I put f of 1 is less than 0, I get the condition directly. It's a linear condition, and surprisingly there are only two options which are a solution of linear, other options are of a quadratic. So you get the result straightforward from this. That is how it is. The last one which I will take here is a question coming up from relations, a usual typical question. There is a set with 5 elements, 2, 3, 4, 5, 9. And there is a relation defined as from A to A, that x belongs to A, y belongs to A. So there could have been 25 such mappings, but they say 2x is less than equal to 3y. Now there are two parts. This is again had been there in JEE Main time and again. M is the number of elements in R. So if actual mapping happens out of 25, how many will follow this relation, that is M, and N is the number of elements in R that should be added to make it symmetric. Symmetric means if A is mapped to B, B is mapped to A, for every A, B in this, so you have 5 elements in A, you can make it understand how this comes to be equal. Those numbers M and N can be easily obtained, added, and M plus N is your final value. Coming to more such questions, if we had come to students talking about questions on matrices. All those questions are 2 cross 2 matrices with random elements talking about A raised to 15 plus B and those questions. Nothing big, time consuming. Summing up the entire session, I would say the papers in these sessions, particularly the session 2 which we have discussed with you, is nothing great, nothing big. It's a usual JEE Main question with questions a little bit lengthy, a little bit off the track what had been there. Of course, every new paper will have something new. All you need to do is be yourself, be confident, go through all the previous year papers, and believe you me, the paper coming in the next sessions would also be a similar trend, a similar this thing. Calculations if are lengthy, you need to have your golden rule of distributing the time subject wise. Mathematics if takes more time, you will have to steal 10-15 minutes from the other 2 subjects to give it to mathematics. Until that happens, the paper doesn't complete in mathematics on itself. I hope you have got the entire insight where we have to use the smart work, to what extent this is a game of hard work, doing it elegantly, and how much you need to control on your nerves because negative marking still is there. All the very best, do your best. Thank you very much.